The verse of the day is Luke 14:11, and it says, "For those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted." The title of today's portion of scripture is called Jesus Teaches on Humility, and to paint the scene a bit for you, Jesus is having dinner at one of the lead Pharisees' homes on the Sabbath. And they're asking him, they're like, "Teacher, is it okay to heal on the Sabbath?" Because in their eyes, that's working on the Sabbath. And you might be like, what's the Sabbath? The Sabbath is a day of rest. When God created the world, on the seventh day, he rested, and he commanded his people to have a Sabbath, to have a day of rest in the Old Testament when Moses gave the people the law. And so in this story, they're challenging him. Is it okay to heal on the Sabbath? Because these Pharisees and religious leaders were so law-based that they were forgetting the point, which is love. Jesus responds and actually heals someone at the table who had swollen legs, I think it was, and he gets healed. And he basically shows them, yes, it's okay, because this man had a need. He needed healing, and I gave him healing because that's love. Jesus then says, if your son or your cow falls into a pit, don't you rush to get him out? He's trying to explain that you don't follow the law at the expense of love. And this is why Jesus came, to accomplish the law, because the heart of man was not changing. They were following all these rules and regulations, but their hearts were hardened. Their hearts were not full of love. So Jesus had to come fulfill the law, and now he gives us an avenue to actually have love fill our heart. In Mark 2:27 it says, "Then Jesus said to them, the Sabbath was made to meet the needs of people, and not people to meet the requirements of the Sabbath. So the Son of Man is Lord even over the Sabbath." And he's trying to communicate, the Sabbath was made for your benefit, for rest, to have you quiet your mind, to get rid of the distractions and busyness of the world, so that I could refill your soul and give you rest. And the people turned it into, oh, we need to follow the rule rather than rest in the blessing that is the Sabbath. Jesus then noticed that everyone who came to dinner tried to sit in the best seat, tried to have the best status and sit next to the host because it made them feel like they had more value. And Jesus responds with today's verse saying, humble yourselves. Jesus is trying to teach to not try to put yourself in a seat of honor, but allow others to see you as someone worth being honored. And if they don't, then that's okay. We don't need to get our approval and our sense of value from other people. And I think that's the lesson Jesus is trying to teach here, that really when you allow yourself to go low, choose the lowest seat, see yourself as equal. You don't need to prove anything or gain status from people, because really that's a need, right? People do that. People want status and to feel seen and to feel celebrated, because it's an underlying need that's not getting met. And Jesus can actually meet that need. He can make you feel like you have all the value and worth and status and all of that in the world. And you won't need to go to people to gain it. You won't need to prove your worth or seek certain value from people, because you'll be able to get it from Jesus. And it allows you to see everyone as equal too, because so often people see status and want to be around certain people to look good, but every human has value, no matter what influence or status they have. And if you have that heart of humility and you see people through that lens the way Jesus sees them, because God doesn't have favorites, he sees value and worth in every human. And if we have that heart posture, we're allowing ourselves to see humanity the way God does. When you have true humility, you're not seeking anything from anyone, because you have everything you need from God. Humility is a heart posture that says, I know my need for God, and God is the one that gives me everything that I need. He fills everything in my heart. I only need to go to him. I only need approval from him. And I know I need him. That's the key, because the opposite of humility is pride, right? Which is what the people in this story are doing. They're trying to function and build up their esteem to sit in the best spot. But pride is what keeps you separate from God's love. Pride says, I've got it. Look at how great I am. Humility says, I don't got it. Look at how great God is. Look at how great God is in me. I need God in my life. And what a gift, because look at what he can do. It reminds me of James 3:13, and the title of this is True Wisdom Comes from God. If you are wise and understand God's ways, prove it by living an honorable life, doing good works with the humility that comes from wisdom. Humility comes from wisdom. And how do we get wisdom? Fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. So we need to fear God and put him first to gain wisdom. And it's through that heart posture of fear of God that we get wisdom and a heart of humility, because we know our need for God. Verse 17 says, but the wisdom from above is first of all pure. It is also peace, loving, gentle at all times, and willing to yield to others. It is full of mercy and the fruit of good deeds. It shows no favoritism and is always sincere. It shows no favoritism. And I feel like that's something God has shown me over the past year. My biggest prayer is, Lord, I want everyone to feel value and self-worth, because there is value and self-worth in every human. Every human. It's so common when we don't have that need met by God that we know who we are in him, and he's reminding us that we're worthy and we don't have anything to prove and we don't need to gain certain status. When we actually get that love need met by God, then we won't search for it in people. But when people search for it in others and in status and trying to prove themselves, really the reason why they're doing that is because they have a need that they need to go to God with. And it helps you have more compassion that, oh, okay, they're just searching to be accepted. But they are already accepted in God's eyes. So it's just having a revelation that you're already accepted. And we don't need to go to the world or people, places, or things for that acceptance. And if we do, we just stay on this hamster wheel of never getting satisfied and never feeling fully accepted. But when we go to Jesus, he satisfies our soul and gives us that rest and that knowing that we're fully accepted by him, and there's nothing we have to prove. The good news about that is he'll never reject you. So any rejection of the world doesn't matter, because Jesus already accepts you. So you're able to enter a table or a room full of really well-known people and not care where you sit or not care who you're around, because you know you're fully accepted by the one who matters. And yes, they all matter, but it's saying you don't need to get your needs met by trying to prove who you are or sit in the place of honor. You're able to sit at the lowest spot because you know whose you are. This is going to be such a specific example, but I can relate to a moment in my life where I'm talking to someone, and when I don't have all my needs met by God and I'm wanting to maybe connect with someone or talk to someone while I'm talking to someone else, but my brain is elsewhere trying to focus on how can I talk to this person. You're actually showing favoritism in that moment, that this person doesn't hold value, and you're trying to calculate your way to talk to someone else or to make something else happen, when God is the one that's going to make it happen anyways. When we think about sin, because there's a verse in the Bible about favoritism, and I don't know where it is, but let me find it. James 2:9, it says, but if you favor some people over others, you are committing a sin. You are guilty of breaking the law. And the reason behind that, think about it. The motive of that isn't loving your neighbor well. And the motive of everything God says is love. So when we fall into sin, it's because we've stripped love. It's because we're not loving well. And that goes to anything. So if we put this into practice, no matter who we're talking about, and we love well, zero favoritism, getting our needs met by God, knowing that he gives us all of our value, then we'll stay in alignment with his heart. And that is how we maintain humility. Okay?